against Bitcoin.
It's going up forever, Warren.
You're against Bitcoin, you're against freedom.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution, breaking news, culture, matic warfare. We will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We have lots to cover today, but I think this caught a lot of Bitcoiners off guard this week, which was the Ethereum ETF being approved. We had Michael Saylor at the Bitcoin for Corporations conference going out on the stage basically saying there's absolutely no way this thing gets approved. But of course, you know, the whole Bitcoin thing started to get political. You had a presidential candidate kind of say, listen, we're going to build a crypto Bitcoin army. And then, you know, the other side, I think, wanted to save face, which I think was a huge motivation behind the approval of this ETF. Also, we have a video of Jack Mallers kind of reacting to this. I think it caught a lot of members in the Bitcoin community by surprise, but I've been saying this for a while now. I'm taking a more kind of libertarian stance, which is like, look, if we are rooting for government intervention to, you know, defeat the altcoiners, like, you know, are you really a Bitcoiner? Like, you know, you shouldn't be rooting for, you know, government intervention to give you any type of special treatment whatsoever. Bitcoin's incentives and just Bitcoin being Bitcoin, you know, will rule the day. We'll win just by Bitcoin being Bitcoin. So I'm just a little bit surprised because, you know, I'm not going to name any names, but there was portions of the community that were like, you know, wow, like I can't believe this, you know, ETH is clearly a security and this isn't acceptable. It's like a clown world has accelerated to such a point that are you really trying to justify, you know, clown world playing by certain types of rules? Like, clearly the system is corrupt. Clearly the system is broken. Clearly Ethereum had enough political support in order for this thing to, you know, for this Ethereum ETF to be launched. But look, Bitcoin is Bitcoin, has the best incentives. You can't mess with the monetary policy. It's rules without rulers. It's infinity divided by 21 million. You can't change the rules to benefit yourself. And that separates it from the rest of, you know, the cryptocurrencies, right? That's what makes Bitcoin special. And look, now that the ETH ETF got approved, and I believe the SEC is going to take a major step back after, instead of like going after Coinbase for listing these securities. I don't think they're going to be successful with that at this point because of how unpopular that is politically. This is where Bitcoin, you know, will shine. This is why we're here, right? Do we really believe this is the best money the world has ever seen? I do. I could literally give you, you know, a 30-minute speech as to why Bitcoin is special, why Bitcoin is different. So, you know, again, rooting for the government to step in and give Ethereum special treatment, I think was pretty ludicrous from the. It's not like it's a non-Bitcoin-esque thing to do, right? You know, there's the Ethereum Foundation. They own the majority of the supply. They've rolled back the change. They've changed the rules. They mess with the supply. Like, you know, it's heavily centralized. The vast majority of Ethereum nodes are run on servers. Therefore, you know, there's a potential attack vector there. Like, there's so many things that go down the list of why this thing can't be a tool for the separation of money and state, which is why we're here as Simply Bitcoin. We believe that if you fix the money, you fix the world, you make the world a better place once you take the money out of the hands of government. I don't believe Ethereum is that tool. So anyways, it's going to be a great show. Lots to unpack. Also, pretty big news in the US. I really thought the fight was going to be a lot tougher, but one of the things I always say is Bitcoin or slavery. And yesterday in the House, an anti-central bank digital currency bill was passed. Now, what was really interesting is it was completely along party lines. So the Democrats, as in whole, I think 3 defected, but like the Democrats voted for a central bank digital currency, and then the Republicans voted against a central bank digital currency. And you would think this is a bipartisan issue, but that it's become partisan, which is really strange. Like, why would you support a surveillance coin that the government will weaponize and use against its populace, why would you ever support that? Like, I don't care what your political ideology is. That's very strange to me, to be honest. So listen, we always say Bitcoin or slavery. It's Bitcoin. The slavery aspect really stands for central bank digital currencies. That's it, really. That's the future ahead of us. I don't think that there's going to be an in-between. They're already trying to get rid of cash. So we'll cover all that today. And of course, it is Friday, so we have the meme review ready for you guys. So I'm going to bring up my legendary co-host, who is always optimistic. What's up, bro? Man, it's been a crazy week, dude. We went from thinking we were going to go to the gulags for taking Bitcoin into self-custody into, wait, holy cow, this thing did a complete 180 to an anti-central bank digital currency bill being passed in the House. Like, this escalated very, very quickly and things turned around. I thought it was going to be a much tougher fight.
I am still not convinced that it won't not be a tough fight. I'm a little suspicious of them joining us at this point, but that's besides the point. I think I'm a little pessimistic feels this morning. I'm a little distraught. First, the Stars lost to the Oilers last night, and I really wanted to dunk on the Bitcoin well guys, but that didn't happen. Second, I was hearing myself yesterday, and I sound so nasally. I'm astonished that people even listen to me on Simply Bitcoin. And third, I got a pimple this morning. I'm like, my face was just clearing up. I'm just a mess right now, guys. I'm holding it down on the Friday show, but no, I'm kind of low key trolling. Everything's great, man. Life's wonderful. I absolutely love living. This is great, man. I couldn't be happier being a Bitcoiner. Life's incredible, man. I don't see how people are unhappy, especially Bitcoiners. I don't see how Bitcoiners are unhappy, and I just legitimately don't get why people don't realize that we are living in paradise. Like, go forth and create and prosper. Like, life's great. It's so good being a Bitcoiner. I love life. I'm a huge fan of living. And anyways.
That's why we call them Optimist Fields. Let's bring up our
optimism. Yeah, let's bring up our guests. So we got Bram. I'm gonna butcher your last name, bro, but is it Canstein? Bram Canstein.
It's Canstein, like Goldstein.
There we go. Bram Canstein, a fellow content creator on YouTube, hosts the show Bitcoin for Millennials. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm really want to get your pitch for millennials and the feedback during the culture. But anyways, how you doing this morning, bro?
Dude, I'm all good. You told me about the chat, but the chat is already ruthless about your
I told you, bro.
Okay. Yeah.
I told you to prepare. So shouts out to the chat. Shouts out to the troll box. You guys are part of the fun.
It's all bum, right?
Oh, God.
Anyway, sorry.
There's already 557 of you guys watching live between YouTube and X, and another 30 of you guys watching on Rumble. So if you guys are enjoying the show so far, help us break 100 likes within the first 15 minutes of the show. We're at 64 likes right now. Smash the like button if you guys are enjoying the content so far. It's going to be a great Friday show. We got the meme review lined up for you guys as well. I know that's a fan favorite. So we got Opti's meme review lined up for you guys. It's going to be an incredible show. Looking forward to it. But before we start the show, I do want to give an extremely special shout out to the Bitcoin company that powers the show, our lead sponsor, bitcoinwell.com, the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. It is a self-custody by default Bitcoin on-ramp. Future-proof your money with bitcoinwell.com. What does self-custody by default mean? It means that you can't buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well unless you're going to take self-custody, which perfectly aligns with the Simply Bitcoin ethos of the separation of money and state, because after all, self-custody is the revolution. They're also a publicly traded company. You could check out their ticker at BTCW on the Canadian Stock Exchange. Also, guys, go to the incredibly easy to use website. Go to bitcoinwell.com/simply. Buy real Bitcoin. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. All you got to do to get started is you put in your email address. The whole process literally takes like 2 minutes from start to finish, from you being able to literally send money to the platform to buy Bitcoin. There's a clear 1% spread, which is basically the industry standard at this point. It's Bitcoin only, obviously, and it's completely non-custodial. Empowering sovereign ownership with free automatic self-custody. That's right. The withdrawals are completely free. So to get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/simply and start enabling your independence. Buy Bitcoin. and take it into self-custody with automatic self-custody at bitcoinwell.com. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers. Lots to talk about.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. So, you know, you're going to have grandchildren one day. You're going to have family members. You know, you can't take your Bitcoin with you, right? And imagine being in a situation where you stacked the dip. You bought Bitcoin in 2024. You bought Bitcoin in 2017. But for whatever reason, you decided to write down your seed words on pieces of paper. That's a terrible idea. If you want the future generations to remember your name, to have a portrait over their fireplace with you on it, you want to stamp your generational wealth on freaking titanium, which is exactly why you have to go to Stampseed right now and use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off and stamp your seed.
Yeah, Nico, imagine telling your grandchildren that you lost their generational wealth because your dog ate your seed phrase.
That's
Couldn't
terrible.
be me.
That's terrible, right? Couldn't be me. Exactly. You know, my dog would break his teeth because it's on titanium, right? But on paper, you know, it's a bad idea. Anyways, at the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 68,230 sats per dollar, 1,466 block height, 844,939 blocks to halving, 205,061 halving estimate, March 22nd, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity, 4,691 Bitcoin. Capacity value, 320 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation, 1.65%. The market capitalization of Bitcoin currently sitting pretty at 1.34 trillion, and Opti's blocking it with the chat. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 8.34%. There's already 674 of you guys watching live, and on Rumble another 40. So if you guys are enjoying the show, smash that like button. Help us break 100 likes within the first 15 minutes of the show. All right, moving on to today's news. SEC approves rule change to allow creation of Ether ETF. So this is kind of like the big news of the week. I think a lot of Bitcoiners were caught off guard. Let me just play this video just to kind of give you an idea of what I mean. Check out this video.
Ethereum is not going to be approved. Sometime this summer, it'll be very clear to everyone that Ethereum is deemed a crypto asset security, not a commodity. After that, you're going to see that Ethereum, BNB, Solana, Ripple, Cardano, everything down the stack is just a crypto asset security unregistered. None of them will ever be wrapped by a spot ETF. None of them will be accepted by Wall Street. None of them will be accepted by mainstream institutional investors as crypto assets. This is the one universal consensus accepted institutional grade crypto asset in the world. There won't be another one. Ethereum is...
So that's not what happened. You know, and I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, including myself. So here's the CNBC article. The SEC has approved. And by the way, for audio listeners, in case you don't recognize that voice for whatever reason by now, that is the voice of Michael Saylor at the Bitcoin for Institutions conference that MicroStrategy threw. So anyways, so, you know, again, I think a lot of people were not anticipating this, but I believe that there is a multitude of reasons. I think we're going to play you a video by Jack Mallers in a little bit. I believe that a lot of this came from the political situation, right? We saw a complete 180 by the White House in terms of how they're treating these assets. I think they're seeing the internal poll numbers. If a huge portion of their voting demographic, you know, is holding Bitcoin, you know, it's probably not a good idea to be so hostile towards the industry. I mean, I think they crossed the line as soon as they put Bitcoin privacy developers in a box. I think as soon as they passed that, me and Opti were talking on the phone. I was angry. I was upset. To the point where, like, you know, I completely threw the Overton window outside of the window. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's probably not a good idea to vote Biden because, you know, it's terrible for the industry. It's probably a good idea to vote for Trump or RFK. Right. Like, you know, and I know it resonated with a lot of people because that tweet absolutely blew up, which means that a lot of people were thinking about it as well. But not enough people were talking about it. And then within a week, you have David Bailey, the CEO of Bitcoin Magazine, basically saying how he's going to help raise money for the current administration's political opponents. You had President Trump or ex-President Trump host like a fundraising event at Mar-a-Lago. Right. So like I really believe that they crossed this line. They stirred up the hornet's nest and they pissed off a lot of people. And now they're, you know, they did a complete 180 and trying to take it back. They're like, you know what, actually, you know, this thing ain't so bad. And I think it's too little too late. And I think the approval of the Ethereum ETF kind of comes with a lot of that, you know, because look at the hell that they gave Bitcoin for the Bitcoin ETF to be approved. Like Gary Gensler was literally grinding his teeth when they butchered the approval. They butchered the release. You know, they said it was approved. Then, you know, the price of Bitcoin spiked and then they said, no, it was fake. It wasn't approved. And then the next day they said, actually, it is approved. Like completely dropped the ball. The SEC's job is to stop market manipulation. And they literally manipulated the market by butchering the Bitcoin ETF launch. Anyways, goes on to say the SEC has approved a rule change Thursday that would pave the way for ETFs that buy and hold Ether, one of the world's largest cryptocurrencies. The decision comes less than 6 months after the SEC Commission approved Bitcoin ETFs. Those funds have proven to be a big success for the industry, with net inflows already surpassing $12 billion. Late May had long been pegged as a potential decision date for the Ether funds since it coincided with a deadline for the SEC to decide whether the VanEck Ethereum ETF could proceed. Many of the companies that sponsor Bitcoin ETFs, including BlackRock, Bitwise, Galaxy Digital, have also started the process of launching an Ether fund. Here's Jack Mallers' reaction to it. I think it's one of the best reactions coming from the Bitcoin community. He went on Bloomberg, so got a lot of, legacy media exposure. And he basically, you know, answers the question, like, why did the SEC pivot? He's making the case that it's because banks get crushed by negative yielding bonds. And they saw how successful the Bitcoin ETF was. And, you know, they basically wanted to mimic it. I would add to that as well. I don't think it's just, I don't think it's just the bonds. I think it has to do with the political environment as well. I think it's a multitude of things. Anyways, I'll play you guys a video. It's about 5 minutes long, but it is at 1.25 the speed. Let's see if we get through the whole thing.
Someone who's really into the Bitcoin scene and what he thinks about the Ethereum ETF as well. Strike CEO Jack Mallers, always great to have you on the show. Thanks for coming in to the studio. You, of course, very much focused on functionality and building upon Bitcoin. What do you think, though, of a ETF, yet more institutional money potentially coming into the smart contract side of the equation?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of any other cryptocurrency outside of Bitcoin, but I think there is a hilarious story as to why this is happening. I mean, I was laughing out loud. It looks like someone went to Gary Gensler and said, hey, buddy, you're not in charge anymore. And you'd have to think why that was. It's because banks and Wall Street are making money, right? Banks get a really bad deal in today's market is they have to buy bonds that are performing awfully. And all of a sudden, they get a free market in this independent crypto thing, and they're actually making money. These markets have life. These markets go up. When governments debase their currency, these things perform well. And they got a taste of Bitcoin, and it was the best performing product that they've ever had. And they're like, oh man, how many other pieces of crap are there out there that we can list as ETFs? And I literally think that's what's happening. It's a way better business to launch crypto ETFs than it is to buy bonds right now based on the macro environment. So I think someone said, hey, Gary, sorry, buddy, despite you thinking that these things are securities, we need to make money. And that's what happened.
Well, it's funny that you bring up Gary Gensler because, of course, the House of Representatives is currently taking on a bill at the moment as to whether it should be the SEC at all overseeing crypto products more generally or whether it should be shifted. But to your point, whether or not Ethereum does indeed manage to become spot traded with an ETF and money coming in, there's a real organization of some of the documents because they don't want to see staking involved in any way. How do you think about what that means for an investment opportunity?
Listen, again, I'm a Bitcoin guy. I think all of this is a distraction and a load and nonsense. I think what they're trying to do is walk the fine line of how can we justify banks and Wall Street making more revenue on this industry? Because with all passive investing and central banks really trying to price control everything, this market has life. And if it has life, it means there's an opportunity to make money. Volatility is a good thing. People on Wall Street like volatility. So they're trying to find a way to justify and make happy and peace with existing securities laws while giving these Wall Street and these big banks like JP Morgan an ability to monetize this space and actually make money, because the business they're in right now is awful. I mean, you're needing to buy bonds, lend money to the government, and not get paid the growth that they're
Equities have been doing quite well. I mean, there are certain parts of the I get your point though. Financial institutions still been doing quite well in the rest of the markets, but there's potentially a role for banks to play here, which could also be going through regulation.
Yeah, but I think, listen, the S&P 500 is dominated by what, like the top 7 companies, and they're all tech companies. Tech companies don't care about the cost of capital. They don't need business loans. Facebook, Apple, these companies can finance their business with their existing cash flows. And so the rest of the world is in a pain of hurt. And banks right now, their whole job is to take our deposits and buy bonds, and these bonds are getting slaughtered. And all of a sudden, they're like, wow, here's a market with life. Here's a market with retail flows. Here's a market that has volatility and that is actually reactive to the outside world. Hey, how many of these crypto things exist? Hey, Gary, accept them all. So I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Shubaduki coin. What did I say on here? We should get a Shubaduki ETF soon. Seriously, I really think they're going to try and monetize it.
Jack, let's go back to basics here. There will be members of the Bloomberg Technology audience that push back on, I'm paraphrasing, a spot ETH ETF being the next listing of a piece of crap. There's a standard tagline in our Bloomberg coverage, which is that Ether is the native token of Ethereum, and Ethereum is the most widely commercially used blockchain. What would be your response to that standard line?
Sure. Okay. And I apologize to all those I offended. Here's my point. Bitcoin is the only money within the cryptocurrency space. It's designed and treated as a monetary asset. So then what do I think Ethereum is? I think Ethereum is a technology, which you actually just displayed in your introduction and definition of it. Ethereum appeals to developers. They change the monetary policy and the rules all of the time. However, the market often conflates it as a money, conflates it as a commodity. Strike is a technology. NVIDIA is a technology. These things are regulated by the SEC. These things have cash flows. These things have founders, directors, people that set the roadmap. And so when I say a piece of crap, maybe I'm being a bit aggressive, but I think it's distinctly different from Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin can be the world reserve asset, the one money that we use to store our time and energy. And I think Ethereum can be a technology which competes with NVIDIA. But then it gets confusing. It's like, well, what's their cash flows? Who founded it? Who sets the direction? Why does it change so much? And when it does change, why does it change? I think that there's a lot of intentional confusion going on in the story. And as a Bitcoiner, it frustrates me because I'm trying to fix the money, fix the world. And so I think that there's a lot the market has to sort out as to what it actually is and how to value it.
So look, what I got to say about this, and this is a great conversation, so we'll just open up the thing. What I got to say about this is that, like, this completely caught a lot of Bitcoiners off guard. And I think a lot of people were betting that this Ethereum ETF was not going to get approved. And I think that was a bad bet. Because now, you know, this Opti, we've been saying this for months now. I'm like, look, and I tell this to the chat all the time. Like, if you guys want to buy shit coins, like, at the end of the day, I'm a libertarian. You could do whatever you want. We'll make the case as to why Bitcoin is better, and it's a superior money. But, you know, I think the very idea of government coming in and intervening and deeming the competitors of Bitcoin as securities, and then giving Bitcoin a competitive advantage versus the rest is a very non-Bitcoin thing to think about. And I've always kind of viewed it that way. And I think the community completely got caught off guard by this thing getting approved. And now, you know, push comes to shove, let the best man win. And obviously my bet is on Bitcoin, and that's because you can't change the rules. It's rules without rulers. It's not controlled by anybody. Completely immutable, censorship resistant. There's 21 million. You can't change the supply. You can't change the rules to benefit yourself. There's no foundation. There's no CEO. There's no leadership, running it. So, you know, that's why Bitcoin is superior, and the free market is going to show that, in my belief. But again, dude, like, it's so crazy how we as a community were caught off guard because the government, which we as a community are not a big fan of, ruled against our favor. Like, I think that was kind of not the right thinking. And I think it completely caught people off guard. But Jack did an incredible job with that Bloomberg reporter just hitting all the right points. I think it caught Saylor a little bit off guard as well. The chat's going absolutely crazy. I'm going to pass it on to Opti. I mean, Opti, we've been saying this for many months now, bro. He can't even contain himself because the chat's going crazy. Bro,
yeah,
look, wasn't it naive for us to think as Bitcoiners, like people were like, separate money from state, like for us to cheer on the state to like, you know, give us a competitive advantage versus the shit coins? Like, it was so naive. Like, that is such a naive take, right?
Yeah, I mean, I even said it, and you were trolling me and calling me a statist. I'm like, look, the Howey test is pretty clear, and ETH doesn't, and ETH fails it, and it's like, oh no, ETH passes it. Sorry, and which means it's a security. And so like even it was kind of falling down that path, but I'm not really surprised it got approved. I think I'm more surprised that people still hold faith in the institutions not being absolutely corrupt. And I think this is like a shining example of this. And hopefully this move will not only prove that the SEC is an illegitimate institution, but that they hold absolutely like no power here. There's no legitimacy at the SEC. It's just kind of like, hey, we have an official government title and like do what we say. And remember what we said, remember what the SEC said about why they stopped the Bitcoin ETF. It was to, you know, protect investors. And now they've just gone full degen mode and literally not protecting investors by any means here. And they're just like, all right, let's approve an ETH ETF. And I'm like here just waiting. I'm like, all right, like, let's approve all shitcoin ETFs. Like, why are you going to pick winners and losers here? Let's just get it all out in the open. Let people get absolutely wrecked on these ETFs and you know, go in the shitcoin ETFs. And of course, Bitcoin's going to win. But you know, maybe I'm too much of an idealist here. And hopefully, once, you know, of course, I don't ever wish pain on anyone, but we all know that ETH Ponzi will eventually explode. And once it does, I hope that it does expose people to just how corrupt the institutions are, how impotent the institutions are. And hopefully that, like, this whole thing is about trust. Hopefully that their trust will clearly erode, and these institutions that they hold so dearly are proven to be what they are. They're just illegitimate institutions and they can get away with murder, literally. But hey, you know, GG got the call from up high and the Biden administration approved this. They told them, all right, guys, we need to try to win an election. Let's go full degen mode, approve an ETH ETF because I know people want it. And here we are. It's absolutely beautiful. And on the flip side, I like I said, I just hope every ETF for every shitcoin gets approved and people get absolutely wrecked, not wanting to get people wrecked, but hey, if you want to play stupid games, you're going to win stupid prizes. And on that note, I just can't wait to see Wall Street just get absolutely blown up because of their greed and they're just like insatiable taste and hunger for more profits. And now they're going to pile into the ETH ETF and they're going to just get absolutely rug pulled. They're going to lose money and all the money will eventually go to the Bitcoiners. And I'm like, man, I'm just so ready for the greedy idiots at Wall Street to get wrecked. That this is actually good, guys. I absolutely love this stuff going on right now. While we acquire all the Bitcoin, they get into captured Bitcoin, captured shit coins. They're holding paper, whatever, poopy dookie coin or whatever Jack Mallers was saying, and all the Bitcoin eventually comes to us. And like, we all know that there is one tried and true way to becoming a Bitcoiner, and it's putting your hand on the stove and getting wrecked with shitcoin. So I think eventually this is good for not only Bitcoin, but for people realizing just how corrupt the institutions are. And like, if this eventually doesn't wake people up, like, I really don't know what will. Like, it's eventually going to explode in their face and it's going to be absolutely glorious while we just laugh and stack our Bitcoin and just try to hopefully save some people from entering this dumpster fire. Oh man, this is great. This is what's that meme? The most ridiculous
entertaining.
The most entertaining outcome is usually the best. This is where we are. All right. Anyways, bam.
And also just before Bram, also, so like people don't perceive us as complete Bitcoin ideologues. Ethereum has still not made all-time highs compared to Bitcoin really since 2017. So this thing has been on a downward trend if you compare it to Bitcoin since 2017. So even with the all-time highs of 2021, if you've been pricing your net worth in Bitcoin terms, which is what we recommend, you would be down in Bitcoin terms, right? So that's just something to keep in mind, even with the ETF being approved. And that's the story of the vast majority of altcoins, is that they might make all-time highs in US dollar terms, but they never make all-time highs in Bitcoin terms, right? And that's really what you should be paying attention to. You should be paying attention to your net worth in Bitcoin. Anyways, I'm gonna pass it on to Bram. Bram, what's your take on this, man? I mean, you came in for a very heated episode, brother. So,
I'm here
welcome.
for it. I'm totally here for it. Yeah. Guys, so many thoughts. First off, I think Jack Mallers, absolute legend, right? Like, it's funny that this host was trying to steer the conversation as to how could ETH ETFs be a good investment, and he just slams her. So I think legendary there. But I think and Nico, you pointed just to it, like the ETH BTC ratio, right? I think we should kind of like stop comparing or talking about ETH in that sense, right? Like, Bitcoin and Ethereum are not competing with each other. They are competing in attention, right? And how people talk about crypto, but in terms of what it is, they're totally not competing with each other, right? So Bitcoin is a decentralized protocol, and it represents the discovery of finite digital scarcity, and Ethereum is a technology, I think, as Jack Mallers also said, right, that you can use to build whatever system you want, and then use the token as its fuel, right? Like, it's just not the same. It's a different thing, and it's fine that it exists. And I agree with what Nico said. Like, yeah, it's a free market, so anyone can do whatever they want, right? And this exists, and I think a lot of people that are into Bitcoin shitcoined before they Bitcoined, right? I think I'm no different. Just also to see what is this new technology about, right? Or like, what are these projects about? But eventually you realize that the technology part for Bitcoin is just a small part of what Bitcoin eventually is, right? And if you think about this finite digital scarcity, you can only discover that once. And so all these crypto projects, the entire crypto market, is taking what in Bitcoin is chosen to be the least important thing, the speed, which, by the way, in the talk by Jack Mallers at Bitcoin Atlantis, I would recommend everyone to check that out. He talks about this speed, and the speed of Bitcoin is actually perfect because it takes into account the speed of light, and all these other chains are way smarter. That's why they break. That's why they reset Solana and stuff like that. And so all these startups that are in crypto, they take this speed aspect and they say like, oh, look at us, we're so much faster, etc., right? Like, we are faster than Visa, blah blah. And they're comparing that speed to the speed of Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin is a layer 1 asset and Visa is like a layer 7 technology, right? So just looking at Bitcoin from this technology angle is futile, I would say. Like, there's way more to it. But yeah, let them have the ETH ETF. I think it shows us a few things. What I think is interesting is crypto is a political issue already this cycle, right? Nico talked about, there's this clip online where Trump had this event and there's a guy in the audience who asks something about crypto, and then Trump hears this question and he just says, yeah, I like crypto, I'm for crypto, whatever, right? Like, it's not even a substantial answer, right? And then, of course, the Democrats were scared and were like, okay, now we have to have an opinion as well. And I think I would agree with the thesis that they call Gary and say, like, you can replace Janet when we win. Can you do this, right? Like, it makes sense. So they are losing, so they fast track this. I think you have to realize, and I think that was kind of like maybe the underestimation that we all had, or the little shock, right? Like, it is really that rigged. Like, how we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
We now actually saw it. We saw it happen in real time, right? And I think that is kind of what the shock was. They're like, wow, okay, this is the game that they're playing. But oh, well, maybe to add to that, so no one is going to sue the SEC, right, for doing something unlawful, like, I don't know, I don't think anyone is going to take that up, right? Although Ethereum is clearly a security, but then I go back to my previous point, everything is rigged, so it doesn't really matter, right? And that is the general argument I also now see on Twitter, like, yeah, it's a security because the SEC said so, yeah. But it's political opportunism, right? And it's a rigged game. And I think that is the biggest signal for us to realize is that it's actually all rigged, right? And I looked up Gensler's statement after the Bitcoin ETF was approved. And there it said clearly, of course, this is not legislation and all these things, right? But they say, today's commission action is cabined to ETFs holding one non-security commodity Bitcoin. It should in no way signal the commission's willingness to approve listing standards for crypto asset securities, nor does the approval signal anything about the commission's view as to the status of other crypto assets under the federal securities law, blah, blah, blah. So there it became clear that Bitcoin is a non-security commodity and everything else crypto is a security. Multiple people sign off on a statement like that. And again, it's not legislation, but it's interesting to see that was like the communication line at that moment. And now within, I don't know, like a week, everything turned around. Basically after Trump said, I like crypto.
Trump was the catalyst. It's so funny, in an election year, everything is possible. Turn on the money printers, bend the rules, change the regulation. We must win the votes.
Exactly. But that is the signal, right? The signal is they don't give a fuck. But they don't care about crypto. They don't understand crypto. They just don't care. I think, we are in this day to day. We are thinking about this. We're being rational, etc. It's probably some campaigner who saw Trump on TV be like, "I'm pro crypto." He also has no clue. And then they were like, "Oh shit, we have to be pro crypto." I think it's as simple as that.
Yes, I
Seriously.
think it's that simple too.
We should not overthink it, right? But 100%. Then you see what is. I like the word capricious, by the way. Like, what is capricious about it is that they're now on purpose. They are not going to talk about all the security aspects, right, in the statements that they're going to release. They're not going to show their votes and blah blah. It's so fucking obvious, right? And all these deegans in the basement are like, "Oh yeah, look at the Bitcoin max, he's crying." Like, bro, they don't care about you. They don't care about you, right? And countries are mining Bitcoin, so
exactly. That's the thing. Multiple countries, and it was just announced actually today that Kenya was pairing up with Marathon. You have BitDeer pairing up with Bhutan, and this is just going to continue this trend. Anyways, guys.
Wait, one last thing, Nico. I just want to point out that Gary Gensler is an accelerationist, and I approve this.
Oh man, dude, that's hilarious. All right, guys, before we move on to the news, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor. Guys, check out the pleb party at Bitcoin Nashville. It's going to be hosted the day before the largest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2024. It's going to be hosted July 25th. It's a 12-hour open bar from noon to midnight. Pleb party in Nashville. The venue is going to be absolutely bonkers. It's going to be at a rustic automobile factory from before the Federal Reserve was established, and that was built in 1910 with brick walls and tons of proof of work atmosphere. Confirmed attendees so far include Larry Lepard, Preston Pish, the entire Simply Bitcoin crew, James Lavish, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Putty, Pubby, Tatum Turnup, and many, many more. Over 1,000 Bitcoin plebs are expected to attend the event. Guys, you want to get your tickets now? Because if you wait till the door, you won't be able to buy them at the door. And last year, they sold out like a week or two before the event. So you want to get your tickets now while they're cheap. There's only 200. There's only, I think, like 40 or 50 tickets left at the $200 price point. After those are sold out, it's too little, too late. You won't be able to buy more. I was almost turned away last year. They take it seriously. So get your tickets to the pleb party that's going to be hosted in Nashville, July 25th. All right, everybody, let's hit the news.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. Oh, sorry, is the show back? I'm playing Snake on my Passport Foundation devices hardware wallet. That's right, you could play Snake on here, and you could also take self-custody. And if you pair it up with the Envoy app, it makes it incredibly easy to use self-custody Bitcoin, cold storage Bitcoin. So guys, remember, not your keys, not your cheese. You want to take self-custody of your precious Satoshis. And the way that you do that is by getting yourself a hardware wallet. We recommend our sponsor, Passport by Foundation Devices. Anyways, a central theme of this show is Bitcoin or slavery. But I should kind of really update it to Bitcoin or central bank digital currency. Why? Because 90% of the countries on planet Earth right now are currently developing central bank digital currencies. Why? Because they don't want to let go of the privilege of being able to create money for free that the rest of us have to work for. I think if you want to kind of see a foreshadowing into the future of how this is going to play out, let's take a look at, I think it's Nigeria, right? Nigeria is really interesting. They rolled out a central bank digital currency called the e-Naira. It was not popular. People did not adopt it. And then they threatened to lock some of the Binance executives in jail. Why? Because people were using Binance for safe haven. They were using Binance to on-ramp themselves to alternatives to fiat money, alternatives to government money. And the central bank digital currency wasn't very popular because, you know, as much as they talk about how central bank digital currencies are going to make payments more efficient, they always leave out the main reason as to why people, specifically in the global south, are seeking alternative currencies in the first place. And the reason is incredibly obvious, but they can't say the quiet part out loud. They don't want to, they don't want to open Pandora's box, is that people are fleeing inflation, right? This idea that money needs to debase or lose purchasing power in order to exist. The world would explode if money didn't lose purchasing power. If money didn't debase, society wouldn't be able to function. That idea is wrong. It's completely wrong. It's an utter lie. And the way that they can keep going on with the racket, the way that they can keep going as if the party never ended. I mean, you heard Brad Sherman mention it yesterday, right? When he was criticizing, the Fit 21 bill. And I think he thought that was an own, but in reality, he was just kind of exposing the way that politicians see money. The party ends if people leave and they adopt a Bitcoin standard. And if enough of the population does that, and if enough of the population takes self-custody, it's game, set, and match, right? The bracket is over. The ability for politicians to play God, essentially, the endless wars, it's all done. It's finished, right? So what are governments trying to do? They're trying to scramble. Not all governments and not all people in government, but elements of government are scrambling. They're panicking, and they're like, no, we can't let this go. You have Opti's ex-girlfriend, Christine Lagarde of the European Central Bank. She's freaking out. She's like, we can't have escape valves. They're panicking, right? They rolled out Yuval Harari basically saying, I don't like Bitcoin because it's a currency of mistrust, and we can't have currencies of mistrust, and blah 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 blah. It's all bullshit. They're just panicking. They're freaking out. They can't believe that individuals can use a money that they can't confiscate at the flick of a switch, and they can't debase to benefit themselves. They can't imagine that world. It's impossible. So anyways, yesterday was a pretty historic moment in the House because not only in terms of the Overton window, you're shifting this into mainstream political discourse, but they actually passed a bill. That doesn't mean it's going to pass the Senate, but they actually passed a bill that would ban the executive branch of government from being able to roll out a central bank digital currency without the approval of Congress. Now, we've seen this on a state level. We saw this in the state of Florida. Now we're starting to see, now we have witnessed this
on the federal level. Here is a very pro-Bitcoin politician, Warren Davidson. He spoke at the Bitcoin Conference 2021, I believe. He's been very pro of the industry, very supportive. Let's check out what he has to say in regards to this bill and the CBDC.
I rise in strong support of banning central bank digital currency. Congress clearly has the Article 1 authority under the United States Constitution over money, and we should exert that. In the absence of exerting that, with respect to central bank digital currency, the Federal Reserve is plowing right ahead. They're actively hiring programmers to write code to develop a central bank digital currency. And to have colleagues say, oh, well, they won't turn it on, to me is equivalent to having the Empire in Star Wars build the Death Star by promising not to turn it on. Once it exists, it poses a threat. And they're not responding to Congress right now. They're not. They're not listening to our values that are reflected in our Constitution to protect our civil liberties. In fact, our colleagues are encouraging them not to. They're saying, in their own words, oh, we have to be more like China. The version of central bank digital currency, the version that Project Hamilton is embracing, is the same version China's developing. And it is being developed all over the world with more than 100 countries looking at implementing a central bank digital currency, all under the same model that the Bank of International Settlements, the central bank for the central bankers in Switzerland, is proposing. And it's the same creepy surveillance tool that the Chinese Communist Party is using. Centrally managed, centrally filtered.
So, I mean, like, and again, it's kind of like the Canadian truckers protest, the Twitter files that got exposed, where elements of the U.S. government were asking a private corporation to censor certain people's speech. And then again, they're asking you to trust them with money, right? They can't even not help themselves but to debase it. They can't even not help themselves but to censor certain political speech. What makes you think they're not going? I mean, he mentioned it, the Death Star. Like, what makes you think that they're not going to use that against you? And even if let's say, you know, this they're holier than thou and they're not going to use it, why would you put yourself in a situation where they could potentially use it? Right? Where in Bitcoin, like, that's not going to happen, especially if you take it into self-custody. There is no one on the face of the planet that could just confiscate it, debase it, right? You're protected. Your energy, your time, your work is protected. Now, what's really interesting to me, and I'm going to ask this question to you guys, I'm not going to voice my opinion on this, is it seemed to be partisan, which is kind of strange, right? Republican 213 Republicans voted against, for the bill for banning central bank digital currencies. 3 Democrats voted for it, and then 192. So it seemed like a very partisan vote. And now I have just a simple question to you guys. Why is this a partisan issue? Why are so many Democrats pro central bank digital currency? This shouldn't be a partisan issue. No one should have this crazy totalitarian power, this godlike power of just being able to, control people using money. Like what's happening in China is absolutely terrifying. Like they're using the central bank digital currencies tied up with the social credit system to force people. Like there's like train stops where like you have to smile, like you have to look into a camera, but it's not only looking into a camera. You have to smile. Like which is so it's like a forcing function. It's so crazy. It's like and then they let you in. If you don't smile, they don't let you in, right? If you jaywalk, right, they'll take points down. Like there's an expiration date to the central bank digital currency. Like it is such a look at how they handled the fucking pandemic. And then it's like I just have Harari in my head. Like, yeah, you should trust us even more. I just have, I just have the chat is answering the rhetorical question. That's the point. I have, Klaus Schwab in my head saying you'll own nothing and be happy. Like, I don't want to trust those mother effers with central bank digital currencies. No, thank you. And I think that if you're pro central bank digital currency, you're inherently pro slavery. Like you're inherently pro the government controlling you, and that's what you support. And it's very strange to me. right? It's very strange to me how that is somehow political. I understand how some elements of the government could potentially feel that way, but an entire party is pro-slavery? Like that doesn't make sense to me. That's very strange. And I think, if, you come from that ideology, you come from that mindset, I think you should have some questions for your representatives, because they're supporting totalitarian money. They're supporting, systems of control money, right? This is not a right or blue thing. This is not a liberal versus conservative thing. This is a, freedom versus slavery thing, right? It's as simple as that. This is not a partisan issue. And also, I'm going to stick to it. You see how they did this 180. I don't think this is a popular, electoral issue either with their voter base, especially in an election year. It doesn't matter what your ideology where it comes from, bro. Like, how could you be pro CBDC? Like, I understand Christine Lagarde being pro CBDC. I understand Augustin Carson being pro CBDC. I understand Charles Schwab being pro CBDC. But some, average Joe just trying to make a living, just trying to get by, not getting crushed by inflation. Like, why in the hell would he be pro CBDC? Like, anyone who's educated on the topic would be extremely pro Bitcoin and extremely anti CBDC. But it's clear that, elements of our government, some representatives clearly don't feel that way. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to Bram and then Opti.
Well, what do you expect from people that love to play victim, right? Like, do you think they would question if the government really wants to help them or not, right? By the way, I heard the word on the street is not Bitcoin or CBDC, it's Bitcoin or Bum Bum. But anyway, what is funny, maybe as a perspective from someone who looks at America from the other side of the ocean, right? Like, I look at America a lot because I think, if you guys blow up, we definitely blow up. So I think it's important to follow America. But what I find very fascinating, and I keep forgetting her name, like the press spokeswoman at the White House. I don't know. She has like this weird French double name, I think. You know who I mean? Like,
Jean something, right?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that woman. Sometimes I see clips of her, and I think like, wow, they are like really testing how far they can take it. Like the nonsense that she shares as the official spokesperson for the White House. Sometimes I'm watching it in like disbelief. I feel like, is this a comedy, right? Like, where are the cameras? Like, am I being punked? But I think this is the same thing, when they're voting for this bill or not, they don't care. Like, if I look at it from a distance, it feels like they don't care about the citizens, really. Like, if you say shit like that and no one really resists or replies, well, then you can still do that, right? And I think with this is the same. It's like, okay, we're just going to have an attempt at creating this CBDC because we are the saviors and we need to help the people, the helpless people of the greatest country in the world, right? And so let's just try that. But I think it's funny that when I grew up, I think especially in like Western Europe, it's way more. They say it's liberal, democratic, etc., social. And I always looked at like the Democrat Party in America, but now it's like the totally other way around, right? Like, the Republicans are the peace party, the Democrats are the war party. And it's like, I don't know if you know this thesis by Balaji, but he has a lot of tweets where he talks about how history goes in reverse. Oh yeah, her name is Corinne Jean-Pierre. Thanks for the chat. He talks about how history is going in reverse. And it's just really interesting that, the perception of the Democrats was like, oh yeah, they're for peace, but they're a warmongering and like a communist control party now, right? So I think from an outsider perspective, it's fascinating to follow. Yeah,
100%. 100%.
I love the outside perspective. It's great. All right, Nico, let me jump in here.
Can you point out the Netherlands on a map or not?
I could not. I'm an American.
I love the Netherlands, dude. Amsterdam is absolutely dope. Okay,
not a country. Yeah,
okay, so okay, just to kind of reemphasize, because I see the chat being very lively. The whole point is for you guys to answer the question. Opti and I are not doing anything.
Okay. Let me jump in. First and foremost, the Death Star reference was crazy. That's wild. That was just like, yo, that's next level. Okay. Like I started the show, I am like we've been wondering the last month, it got a little dark and we're like, yo, they're coming after us. And now we're seeing them join us, or quote unquote join us. And I see a lot of Bitcoiners and even us sometimes, like it feels good. We're swinging on this pendulum where like once we're criminals, the next it's like, oh, they're going to join us. But I still feel like it's too early. This was like too easy. And so I'm keeping my head on a swivel and I'm wondering where the attack vectors are here. And, once the people that we are out here to try to displace start to join us, I'm like, okay, especially when they're passing bills, I'm like, okay, we got to read the fine print here. What's going on? Like, where is this going? But I think the signal here is that we're seeing that the powers that be are noticing that a public digital dystopia is not favorable amongst the masses. And so now I think what we're going to see is that they're going to go the private sector route. And like, yeah, that, while it's become distasteful to have a Federal Reserve or a US CBDC, I'm starting to get the trend that we're going to see a huge push towards the private sector CBDCs, which we already have. They're called Circle and Tether. It's the stablecoin route that we're seeing all the politicians talk about. We need stablecoin regulations. And so you're seeing that they're moving away from the public sector and they're all piling into the private sector. And we've seen this pendulum swing throughout the history of time that like once it's not politically favorable to push stuff publicly, they all go in the private sector. And it's like, oh, see, you guys aren't against corporations. Like, what are you, some kind of collectivist? And I think that's where we're going. And I think we got a taste of this if you guys caught the Coinbase Pizza Day video where they're basically, selling pizza for $1 as long as you KYC with Circle. And they're like, oh, look how progressive we are. Like, this is the future. We've come so far in 15 years. And it's like, we've seen the writing on the wall. We know where this is going. And shouts out to Mark Goodwin. He's been, and Whitney Webb, they've been going super hard on this. And I think this is kind of the idea that we're seeing is that publicly, no one wants a CBDC, and so they're going to pile into the private sector. We're seeing this happen, for better or worse, rather more for worse than better. We're seeing that around the world, a lot of people are piling into stable coins because it's quote unquote pegged to the dollar. Whereas we keep talking about like it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the stable coin. Bitcoin is the only way here. And so I think this is the signal here is that we're seeing no one wants a CBDC. And now they're realizing this. And it kind of goes back to the Ethereum ETF approval as well, is they're seeing that there is a lot of applause and a lot of people that are big, not only Bitcoiners, but, crypto shitcoiners as well. But they're seeing that people want this. They're realizing that people are noticing that their purchasing power is getting diminished. And so people are looking for an alternative. So now they're trying to find ways to appease that, I don't want to say the word, but appease the crowds here because it's getting hairy and everyone's waking up to this. So while I do like this type of conversation and I do think, take a shot, it's Friday, the Overton window is shifting. I'm still kind of a little paranoid. Maybe it's just because I'm a Bitcoiner, my tinfoil hat's on, and I'm just like wondering where this is going. But I see the writing on the wall, guys. They can't roll out a Federal Reserve, a US government CBDC, a la the CCP. Now they're just going to go the private sector out. It's like, you're an American, you trust corporations, and what kind of collectivist are you if you don't like corporations? Sign up for Circle and get your $1 pizza and KYC everything about you, and we're going to connect this all, and the world's going to be interoperable. And it's like, no, this is not the future I want. I am a Bitcoiner. This is the way. It's Bitcoin only. There is no alternative.
It's Bitcoin or slavery. And I also want to say, like, even though there's the change in tune, the endorsements from Simply stay the same. Donald Trump and RFK Jr. We're not changing.
I vote Bitcoin. Vote orange.
I know. I'm serious. From the regulatory perspective, like, bro, like, you don't have me fooled whatsoever. Like,
well, it's funny. It's funny what Opti says, right? Like we just mentioned, like maybe as with the ETF approval, it's just political opportunism. They have it's way simpler than what we're fantasizing about, right? Or strategizing about. And I think what, Opti, what you shared, I think like, yeah, sounds reasonable, but are they that smart? Like you could, well, I mean, yeah, it's surprising that probably the entire CBDC idea also came from the public market and not or the private market, sorry, and not the government, right? So it's just it's Opti for president.
Can't happen. Sorry, guys.
It's lobbying all the way. It's lobbying all the way. And
100%.
in contrast with China, people in the Western world are way more informed than people in China with regards to what you can find and look up and consume on the internet, right? So I'd say, and also culture-wise, we would probably be way more inclined to really step up if it would hit like a China level thing. Like I really, to be honest,
hope.
I understand the theory, but I honestly I don't really see it happening.
Yeah, it's interesting development. Anyways, guys, let's get on to the culture. Talk about Bram, what he's working on, what his projects are, what he's contributing to Bitcoin. But before we do that, I do want to give an extremely special shout out to our sponsor, the Orange Pill app. Guys, you want to stack friends who stack sats. It's probably a good idea to build up that Bitcoin social layer, that Bitcoin Rolodex, because I truly believe that Bitcoiners are going to be some of the most powerful, influential people in the next 5 to 10 years. Find local Bitcoiners, events, and merchants near you. Join the 10,485 Bitcoiners that are currently on the Orange Pill app. It's one of the best ways to reach me directly. The Twitter DMs, I don't really pay attention to them. They get flooded. But if you want to reach me directly, download the Orange Pill app, send me a message, and I'll get back to you. Has a really cool, clever filtration system, so you'll only find fellow Bitcoiners on the app, and also has a really cool, clever geographical feature. So if you go to a new city, you're traveling, you don't know anybody around you, you can pull up the Orange Pill app, and it'll literally show you geographically the Bitcoiners that are near you. So download the Orange Pill app today. Download the Bitcoin social layer. Stack friends who stack sats. All right, everybody, let's get to the culture. Lots to talk about.
The Daily Culture.
All right, everybody, I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, KABOOMRACKS. They are the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. You could check out their racks by scanning the QR code or check the link in the video description. That will take you directly to their Telegram marketplace where you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with KABOOMRACKS, access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with KABOOMRACKS. So you can scan the QR code right now and it will take you to their very special deal that they currently have. They're offering instant hosting for an S19K Pro 120 terahashes. There's a one-time payment of $2,466 plus $160 per month. Your hash rate goes online after your payment is confirmed. The equipment is already online. The price includes a 3-month security deposit, and first month, the hosting price is as low as 0.079 kilowatt hour. So guys, you want to start instant hosting today, or you just want to buy Bitcoin miners, the most trusted place, the best place where I personally buy my miners is KABOOMRACKS. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. All right, passing it on to Bram. Bram, super happy you're here, dude. Big fan of your content. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good, guys. Thanks for inviting me. I love the format, and also you got balls with the live chat. I just said before we went live, like I've been doing this podcast, Bitcoin for Millennials, since October, so like 8-ish months, and I think the comments on YouTube are interesting. People are so tough when they're anonymous, right? So I think you got balls to do it live. Yeah.
Facts. Okay, Bram, let's talk about the show's called Bitcoin for Millennials. Actually, I want to start with, let's just do, what is your elevator pitch for the millennials out there? That me and Nico are millennials as well, and it's very obvious to us why we need Bitcoin. But what would be your 2-minute elevator pitch for someone that just maybe by chance fell into the show? Maybe they're an Ethereum shitcoiner. What is the elevator pitch for why they should save in Bitcoin, and then maybe go into why Bitcoin only?
Yeah, I love that you said save. So I think, our generation is the only generation that grew up in an analog world and went into a digital world, right? And so also in Western countries, we never really questioned money, or learned about what money is. You got a coin, you went to the store, you got a bread for your mother, and that was just it. And so we never learned about it. But now that we're grown up and we want to start families or find a place to stay, or eventually, we will inherit whatever wealth our parents accrued, we have to figure out what is money, what is wealth, what is ownership, and how can I actually, do I actually have ownership? And I think a fun introduction about me was when I was 30, I worked at a bank. I had a mortgage. I was already into Bitcoin, and not that far as how I am now. And I had a colleague that told me, "Did you know that the money in the bank is not yours?" And I said, "Sorry, what do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?" And then we had a talk for an hour, and he explained to me fractional reserve banking, that you basically lend your money, the fruits of your labor, to the bank lends it out. And eventually, if the bank, makes money, you don't see any upside. If they go bust, then, you get the numbers back in your bank account, but that money comes from taxpayers, right? And so he explained that to me, and I was like, damn, I am an idiot. I am participating in a system that I have no clue about. And then when I started diving into that more and talking with my friends, other millennials, some that have done really well, like sold their companies or multimillionaires, they have no clue about money. And so when I started asking them about, if you want to go to the bank, and take out 50K in cash or 100K, how do you think that will work? And they will be like, yeah, maybe I wait a few days, and they probably don't have it. They have to get it from somewhere, but they only see it as a nuisance. Where at one point I understood that, if you spend your finite energy in a finite amount of time and you get rewarded for that, then you want to take ownership of that. And you don't want to give that reward away either to a bank or keep it in a political currency that is programmatically debased every year. So for millennials, it's very important to learn about why the current system of money is flawed. They have to learn about all their assumptions about how they think the world worked or finance worked, so that they can take actual ownership of their life. And of course, that is only through Bitcoin.
Love it. Okay. I know a lot of the chat, we constantly cover this, are very black pilled in regards to trying to orange pill people. But are you still out there trying to orange pill your friends? And what has been the response?
Yeah, I love that question. This is a question I ask my guests also all the time. I'm very drawn to trying, because I feel that now once I see this and totally cannot unsee it anymore, right? And as we talked about, yesterday with the ETF, the distrust of the government is real. Like there are people in the government that don't care about you, not necessarily in a malicious way, but they care more about themselves than they care about you. And so you should also care about yourself and stop outsourcing the responsibilities over your life to other people. And so now that I really see that and live that, I want to share that with the people that I love, right? And people that I would want to help. So I see it as how do you say it? Lights up something altruistic inside of me. But what I see in practice is that lots of people are not even ready to get to the conversation where we talk about Bitcoin. The fact that people think that the number that they see in their banking app, that the actual coins and bills are actually there in a safe in the bank, right? They actually still think that, and getting them to realize that that number is a fake number and it's probably not there, and it's been lent out 10 times over. If you want to take out all your money from the bank, they will probably ask you, what are you going to spend it on? Most people don't even realize that. So yes, I'm inclined to help people, understand Bitcoin, but I think the conversation before that is something I actually focusing on way more, because we cannot see the solution if we don't see the problem.
100%.
Love it.
That's like, man, it's such a, if you're starting from, and this will probably give you a little bit of PTSD, Bram, but like, if you're starting from zero, trying to orange pill someone, like that is
undoable.
It's like, oh God.
Yeah. And you cannot orange pill someone else, right? You orange pill yourself, and you have to, I think, and this is the dimension I love and also talk a lot about on the podcast, right? I see understanding and adopting Bitcoin as a personal and sometimes spiritual journey, right? The fact that you can accept and really know that you don't know everything, I think is just step one, right? It's kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Like, yeah, I'm an alcoholic, like I believe in fairy tales and have no clue what's really going on, like that is a big realization and not something that is nice. But once you talk with someone and you see that they are curious, right? Because people do feel it in their wallet, right? Supermarket is more expensive, housing is terrible everywhere in the Western world, right? You find the love of your life, you want to make a baby, start a family. Oh, can I really do that? You're insecure about the future. Like, people do feel these things, but they don't understand where it's coming from. And realizing that first is the biggest hurdle before we can talk about Bitcoin. And then again, like, people have to feel curious enough and inclined and motivated enough to study, basically, right? Like, they won't believe you if you pitch it to them. I think, it sounds too good to be true. And that is the exact point. It sounds so good and it sounds too good to be true, because in a fiat world, it's a zero-sum game, right? Like, how can you pitch me a mutually beneficial money system that no one can fuck with?
Totally agree.
That sounds like fairy tale.
All right, we got one question in the chat, and apparently crossover here from our content to your content. They want to ask you, Bram, what is the one value that you will never give up?
I love that. That you should always stay curious. That everyone is winging it, right? It's I don't know, people probably know this video from Steve Jobs where he says, like, if you look outside of the window, right, everything you see was created by people no smarter than you. And everything you see was an idea at some point. People in the government, your parents, your girlfriend, whatever, everyone is winging it. No one has a clue what the fuck is going on. So you have to stay curious and try to learn every day.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, Bram, sorry. They're gonna yell at us if we don't move to the meme review. So I want to ask you the last question I usually ask our guests. What is the final message you want to leave with the audience? It could be about life, it could be about Bitcoin, it could be anything. What's the final message you want to leave with the audience?
Yeah, I think it ties into the stay curious. My life motto is never slow down, never grow old, like never stop studying. Again, nobody knows what they're doing. So you just keep on learning. The world is not a static place. That it keeps moving, so you also have to keep moving.
Man. That's pretty deep, bro. That's pretty deep. All right, everybody. It's Friday. It's the moment that you guys have all been waiting for. The only reason you guys watch our show. It is time for
Super Curious.
Opti's Friday meme review. Man, I don't know why you full screen me, but my voice is so good on that. That's the only time my voice doesn't sound nasally. I feel great about this. All right, guys, you already know the deal. This is the Friday meme review. We made it to Friday, and I'm not rug pulling you on the meme review, but you know the deal. Tweets are the bullets, memes are the artillery. We are frontline soldiers in the information warfare game on the internet, or whatever Nico always says. Drop your meme review in the chat. Do it like on the last one while I'm still covering it so we can get to it, and we will review them live. So first and foremost, this one's great. This one's arbed out on Twitter. Highly recommend you follow this account. He's an OG. He's been around for a while. This is the classic Reaper meme here, where he's knocking on the doors and, Bitcoin's killing people's, metaphorically, of course, YouTube, slaying heroes and credibility. Well, first we got Nouriel Roubini's credibility slayed. Nassim Talib's credibility slayed. And now we are knocking on Yuval Harari's credibility, and it will also be slayed.
Metaphorically.
And on that note, metaphorically, of course. And on that note, we have George, aka @_overflow_, and it goes, Bitcoin is bad, and we got Yuval Harari here with a very sad, crying face. Trust me, bro. You want to trust the institutions, bro. Trust banks, bro. Like, we haven't caused the wars for the last 100 years. Money printing's good. Trust us, bro. Like, it's all about trust, bro. This is what it's about. Don't you trust me, bro? Like, I am so trustworthy. Look at my face. No, bro. This is the point. We don't trust you. Okay, this next one.
Hold on. If we're getting to the point where, like, they have just just ran out of any type of tools or tactics where they're just like at the point where they're just like, you know what? Just trust me. Just trust me. Like we're at the
these are
bargaining
the signals.
phase.
This is the signal. This is the biggest signal you should pay attention to.
Exactly. That's like what I've been saying all week since we first heard this news come out. Like, if this guy is anti-Bitcoin, then I just know I'm right, and I'm even harder pro-Bitcoin than ever. This guy's anti-human. Like, this is the most anti-human person ever. Okay, next one. Mark Goodwin, our boy on Twitter, at MarkGoodW_IN. And this one, this one's a little dark. I'm not gonna lie. It's very subtle and look kind of wholesome, but this one's a little dark. All right, here's a picture of James Laszlo, the guy for Pizza Day was this week. You know, he spent 10,000 Bitcoin to buy 2 Papa John's pizzas. He's sitting here with his family. It's a cute, wholesome picture, and it's that 4chan, screenshot of if you only knew how bad things really are. Oh man, this one's meta. Good job, Mark. This one's dark. This one's a little dark. This one's a little dark. Okay, next one. We got Brian Lockhart on Twitter, and it's the classic, guy taking a selfie in front of the headstone at the cemetery, and on the headstone it says Howey Test, and then it's shitcoiners, killing 60 years of legislation in one final blow. Shouts out to Gary Gensler. And on that note, shouts out to Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren. We have Autism Capital, and he goes, "You fucking blew it, little man." It's Elizabeth Warren whispering in Gary Gensler's ear. Oh man, this is perfect. Okay, and the last one, this one I find kind of hilarious. We have Francis Pouliot on Twitter. And I'm sure you guys saw David Bailey say that he wants to raise $100 million to get Trump even more pro Bitcoin and build a Bitcoin army. And this is the classic trade offer meme where he goes, "I receive $100 million and you receive a few positive tweets about crypto." And it's Trump. But I want to kind of, change this one up a little bit. I would say not only just Trump, but every politician is the same way. Give me money and I will say nice things about whatever you like. This one's bars. All right, drop your meme review score in the chat and we will cover ours live.
But give a little bit of like, guys, for anyone who's new to the show, we review the memes by giving it objects, feelings, numbers, anything that your heart could think of could function as a meme score. So Opti, should we
wait I need to find something, so you need to go first, Nico.
I'm gonna give it this magnifying glass.
I got something there, great.
That's my meme score, is a magnifying
All right,
glass.
I am giving it Honking for Freedom by BJ Dichter.
Oh, I think you've already given
you've given that one. I didn't have one.
Look, Opti, I'm magnified. Hey.
That's how you should look on every show.
Yo, what's good?
All right, Bram, what is your score?
My score.
We didn't even give him I forgot to give him the meme, the rundown on the meme score before the show, because I was telling him about the toxic chat. It could be, the meme score is a meme in itself. So you could throw back numbers or just grab something on your desk.
All right.
I got a Lego.
Is that Transformer?
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a Transformer.
And it worked.
Wow. Millennial confirms.
I don't know what it means, but well, that's the story of my life.
There you go.
Optimus Prime and Optimus Fields converging to give you a meme review.
Let's go. Okay,
Anyways,
there's the meme review scores in here, Nico, so get to it.
All right, first meme score by Sail Dog. I give the memes 1 Opti football beard, 11 on each side. I don't get it.
I don't know what that means, but this is Beardist. I can't grow a beard.
Satwise Janks, I give the memes Liz Warren and Gary Gensler's brains metaphorically melting out of their ears in
melting
denial.
Isn't bad. That's not bad.
No call to violence there. Anyways,
that's not. That's internal melting.
I give the memes the Nico Holy Trinity. You buried the lead. They said the quiet part out loud. This is outside the Overton window.
Damn, Cotton 4K.
Bro, slam dunk there. Elaine, shout out Elaine, says score 1605. If wishes were horses, all men would ride. 2024 SEC wishes brings ETH suicide. Metaphorically. 1625, all wells that ends well. WS, giddy up Bitcoin. Horse. That's a good one. A UTXO. I give the memes the scarcity of the meme review, which has reached the point of Nico having to explain the meme review because most of his viewers weren't born at the time of the last meme review. Oh man. Something in Serial said, I offer the Death Star as a meme score and some free Dogecoin. Okay, it's very good. Nick, I give the memes a bum bum. Loco TX, I give the that meme score. Elizabeth Warren doing stuff.
OF.
OF, wearing an orange bikini. Jesse Whaling, I give the memes a score of Ether Maxi tears from lack of ETH inflows from 1 month from now. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Anyways, next score.
I don't know if you can see the C word, but sorry. Next one.
Vistnok, meme score, meme ETF when. Opti is behind that. He's going to be taking the meme score. Meme score 2 BlackRock, 2 Larry Flink. Toxic Maxi gives it 93,000 Canadian pesos. All right. Next one, Jace Snow. I give the memes 1 Optishi.
One Optishi. Okay, and we got one on Rumble, and it's out of compliance. And he goes, meme review score, New York Rangers take game 2 tonight. Okay, we got some hockey fans in the. I'm a new convert. I'm a Stars fan. We're gonna beat the Oilers.
That was nuts. Me and Opti saw a hockey game in Montreal, Canada. Holy shit! Like that's the real deal.
I honestly didn't know people like hockey that much. That was incredible.
I didn't even know where the puck was on TV. Like I was just like looking, but it was a great experience. It was a good time.
Very Canadian time in Montreal.
Anyways, guys, if you guys enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. But the number one thing you could do to help push the peaceful Bitcoin revolution is share Bitcoin content far and wide. Bitcoin only content. Share it. You know, Bitcoin music, Bitcoin culture. Share it all. Anyways, I do want to thank our very special guest, Bram. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it. Why don't you tell everybody where they could find you on the interwebs and your stuff?
Yeah, again, thanks so much for having me on. People can find me on Twitter, X @BRAMK. And if they want to check out my podcast, it's called Bitcoin for Millennials. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Yeah, that's basically it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really, really appreciate it. All right, guys. Crazy Friday show. Got 1,600 of you guys watching live right now and about 55 on Rumble. So you guys appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. I'm your host, Nico, my legendary co-host who took himself off screen, Optimus Fields. And that was Simply Bitcoin Live. Everyone, enjoy the weekend. We'll be back Monday for a brand new episode. Until then, enjoy Rustin's original content because he's dropping it hot. We're dropping shorts. The content don't stop. Honey Badger Media don't stop. Anyways, love y'all. Peace out, everybody.
Episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, on a mission to enable independence.
De pinga.